Hi friends, today I'm joining in hashtag Deck the Year 2025. Penny's Crafty Creations is our host and we're at week 40. So today I used some paper from this Fall into Autumn paper pack by Violet Studio, and this was from last year. I believe I purchased it at my local Meijer store, and it's single-sided but real pretty designs for autumn and fall. And then I used a die set from Sizzix, and this is an old one, and you get the stamps that say pumpkin spice and everything nice, fall, harvest, autumn, pumpkin, and I used the stamp pumpkin spice and everything nice. And then I used a little die to cut around it, and I also used a sweet little cup, and I did not use those other ones, but those were for the words. Really cute. This is an old one. I don't know if there's a number at the top, 662271. I don't think it has, I don't see a name of what it's called, but anyways, I used that one. Please don't mind my hands, my fingers. Look at, that's from the cutting the paper and the dies. Oh my goodness, this one. I've also used this little one from AliExpress, and it's not too many pieces. It's a little girl in her dress. But you know how when you break them apart? Oh my goodness, I cut my hand all over. So this is what some of the little mugs look like, or cups. They're so cute, and I use that paper. And then there's some with the mushrooms, and then some gold. And then this is where I stamped pumpkin spice and everything nice. Really like the cute little cups. I mean, you could do so much with those. And then for the little girl, she cuts out really nice. You know, you cut her hair, and then there's a face piece, there's a crown, and then there's her little dress. So I did a few of those. And sometimes at Lowe's or Menards, if you have that store in the paint section, sometimes I'll grab these in the black and the ivory to do the hair or the skin for my die cutting. I don't know if you know, they're kind of nice to have. I know people have shown paint chips before and even done cute little projects. So anyways, I altered some index cards. And here's the first one I did. I collaged some paper, just scrap pieces. This is a piece from a magazine article. There's the little cup and then the sentiment. Here's the little girl. She just comes with her arms kind of tucked. She doesn't come with any legs in that set. Her dress is covering them. And I didn't know if I was doing it correctly. You know, when you buy those dies from AliExpress, I kind of snipped it here and then pieced it, because if you didn't do that, you covered up this piece of her hair. So I'm not sure if I did it right, but anyways, there's my first one. I should also include this for Die Cutting Mondays. Who is the host is Pebbles at Colita's Creations, since I did do some die cutting between the girls and the mugs. Here's another one, same thing, scrap paper. This real pretty magazine piece with the sunflowers, and there's the little girl. I tried to put a little blush on her cheeks. One thing about using these is they do have a shiny, slick top, so sometimes some of that coloring might not adhere real well. But this was fun. I really wanted to do something fall, but I didn't know what. And then I thought, well, this would be fun. You could send it to a friend with some tea, or write them a note, or, you know, all the same old, put them in our journals. And then I did a third one. This one I actually did before the fall ones, and I thought, how could you not do a fall one since we just hit October? So this one I did first, a sweet little girl and her unicorn, and just made it kind of girly, cutesy. And then the little paper was left over from my gnome page for my artisan journal. So I had that little scrap piece, and then I put the words dream, relax, happiness, one of these little glitter butterflies, and then this time I used a real pretty star border, kind of the pinks, blues, and a little bit of lavender. And she's just an altered index card. So thank you, Penny, for hosting Deck the Year 2025, and thank you, Pebbles, for hosting Die Cutting with Me on Die Cutting with Me Mondays, which I'll link all that in my description box. So happy October, everybody. Thanks for coming by today. I do appreciate you, and big hugs. Bye, friends.